You know what, Mark? It was funnier.
Dude, it was not as good as it was funny the first time around. The second time around was just not good. Oh my god, get there. Come on, go by. What are you hanging? Stop hanging.
Dude, so I don't know. Mark is like giving me this weird look when I get on, and I just like this like cupcake just like comes in out of thin air, and Mark is just losing the shit. I thought it was hilarious. We're gonna start the show this way. It's just not as funny the second time.
No, it was great the first time around. The second time around was not as good. My goddamn 3 just decided to hang at Delta. Yeah, it's been a day.
The cupcake's delicious though.
Is
so
it?
I mean, yeah, it's
red
velvet. Yeah, it's delicious.
It is red velvet. Okay, it looked like it's got that little chocolatey, but little reds. So yeah, no, solid.
I'll be working my way through that. But hello and welcome. It's Thursday night here on the wrong lead. I am Josh at Cherry Drink. We got Mark over here. We'll tag in Caleb, who was just did not even know that was coming. When I saw Caleb not laugh, I was like, all right, we're done. He didn't even think that was a little funny. Like Mark and I were just losing our shit, and no. But yeah, Steven's saying he would like some red velvet cupcakes, please. So on top of things, if we're going to talk about things that Caleb does not like, I decided the bourbon choice for tonight. It's a little smoke wagon, uncut, unfiltered here.
Gross.
Yeah, so Caleb is just completely grossed out already. But yeah, we're gonna have some fun tonight. We're gonna talk a little BC here. I was talking with Mark before the show, and he goes, I was like, I don't really have a lot to talk about for BC yet. I know you, and I was specifically talking about Mark and Caleb. I'm like, I know you guys fucking love this shit. The PPs come out and looking at like a week ahead and doing all this shit. And I'm just like, no, like talk to me next week at this time. Maybe I'll have a couple of races capped. And then Mark goes
Saturday at like 1:30.
And then Mark goes, I have 7 pages on European horses right now of notes. He's like, I just got 7 pages of notes on European horses. And I was like, all right. I mean, I was talking with one of my buddies, Kevin, last night. We were in voice chat for a little bit with Kevin, BJ, a couple guys, and going over some replays and looking at stuff. And I mean, man, like, yeah, some people get into this work real early. Luckily, it helped me, start to form maybe one opinion, which is I really like Chop Chop in the Breeders' Cup. Was at the 2-year-old Distaff. I really like the horse in that race. But yeah, Caleb, you're a big PPs come out. I'm downloading them immediately and jumping in, right?
I am. Mostly for me, it's for the Europeans. I feel like for most of the domestic horses, at this point, I kind of know who they are. I don't need to spend a ton of time. Like, now the 2-year-olds are maybe the exception, but I mean, with the older horses, like, I don't need to look at the form to tell you that Flightline's fast. So, I mean, I don't. But the Europeans are ones that I always spend a lot of time with. I mean, I'll probably watch 2 or 3 replays or the last 2 or 3 races of each European horse coming over that I think even has a snowball's chance in hell. So that always takes a lot of time. So gotta start early.
Mark, you just live for handicapping, so I know you're also an early bird.
Yeah, no, I mean, I think very similar to Caleb. I think I know who most of the domestic horses are, the ones I'm really interested in. I'll definitely add the 2-year-olds, especially the European. Well, honestly, all the 2-year-olds are going to take some more work. I haven't gotten to the US 2-year-olds. I haven't even started yet. But the European 2-year-olds, I definitely have a lot. I have some of my work done. I need a couple more passes. But yeah, I do enjoy sitting down and going through the process, finding those value plays. When you look back to some of my biggest Breeders' Cup scores, it was sitting down, doing the work, really putting it in, and understanding who's coming over. And I think the one I remember is Aodaro, who Caleb and I both loved in that race. We knew Rushing Fall was going to take all the money, and I was absolutely shocked at the price we got on her. But that was a horse that I thought was this is probably the your first or second most likely winner, who goes off at 22-1. If you did the research, you got easy money and you made out like a bandit. And there's a lot of those, and that's what's fun about the Breeders' Cup. A lot of these horses that American viewers don't see as often. They don't know the horses, and there's a ton of value there.
Nice. Looks like Jay just boomed you, by the way. He said he had a nice 140-1 double at Delta. So
yeah, good for him, man. I did not feel like going that deep in that race to get to that one. I did not see the one ending up on the lead. I think every race tonight at Delta has basically been wired, so you have to be on, or you can't pass. And the stretch looks like it's absolute. I don't know if it's quicksand or whatever it is, but you just can't pass in the stretch. So good for him on getting that one would be sent, and that they. I figured they would go with a 3.
So I've always wondered, right? I see Jay's avatar. How old do you think Jay is? Do you think Jay is closer to our age or the age of the guy in that picture?
I always thought Jay was younger. But that was a gut. Like, I always thought Jay was like 25, 27, something like that. A little younger than Caleb.
He might be like 60.
I can't tell.
Could be like
Is that
60.
Bob Baffert in the avatar? I can't. It's so small.
I don't know.
Oh God, Josh, are you trying to open a bottle on air again?
I am, but I got it. I
Time
took care of
to do
it.
this?
I got it. You know what's funny is I was actually at the store beforehand, and I was thinking about buying a bottle of Macallan 12, and I think that might have been the bottle that got me. So I was like, I'm going to leave the Macallan. But you know what's funny is I actually just turned on Remington. I got the feed up. I was going to start looking at it, and they're opening. The gates open, and I'm like, oh, they must be off the turf. No, they're definitely
that
on
is
the
the
turf.
I had the same thought.
Is it that bad?
It looks like Churchill
It's
turf.
it's just brown. It's just like
It's
end
turf?
of season.
Okay. End of season turf. Got it.
But I 56. See, I told you guys. I knew he was up there. He watches Papo, and he watches Papo religiously. And I feel like the only people who watch Papo religiously are either our age or are like about to retire.
No middle ground, huh?
No middle ground. Like Jared. I wonder what happened to Jared Bush. I wonder if he still hangs out in there. But
I haven't seen him since that one time he actually went on the show.
Stephen Fox saying, who's excited for GP in like 3 weeks? Championship meet.
The youngest person that's excited for GP in about 3 weeks is about 95.
And Steven.
And
who else? You know somebody else who loves Gulfstream more than any man should.
Dave.
Yep.
Dave. Yeah. But he's also become to learn to love Parks.
He does love Parks now too.
Dude, I don't know what you guys did to him.
I'm a little concerned for him, honestly.
Yeah, he was playing Parks. He was asking about. He's like, wait. He's like, man, there's a carryover in this pick 5, and we're like, yeah, it's a jackpot. And he's like, oh. I don't know what happened, but all of a sudden Dave's playing everything. But Mark, you said that you got a ton of notes here. Caleb, I know you've taken a pass at some of these European horses. We'll just kind of pick through some of these races. Mark, keep an eye on Delta Downs if you got anything going on there. We got about 25 minutes till we get to Remington. So
yeah, 15 at Delta. So we got some time.
And Mark, he singled the one.
I'm showing 3 minutes of Delta. Am I at the wrong race?
Race 7's 15 minutes to post. They're running behind Caleb.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, it's 13 minutes on here. I'll
cool.
Pop the feed open here. My ADW is also showing it wrong, but I'm watching the live feed, which is...
Okay, I don't get the feed up. I was just looking at the ADW.
No worries.
But
Jay, I mean, good on you, Jay. I mean, it has been wired jobs all night, and good on you for. I just didn't trust that one at all.
So we're here. We're going to take a look at this Breeders' Cup Juvenile Turf Sprint, which is normally not won by European horses. So I guess we'll just kind of start with this one. Like, do you think there are any? Has anybody got a shot in here that's shipping over, Caleb?
Oh
what do
yeah.
you think?
Yeah. I mean, the Platinum Queen is a huge threat in this race.
Yeah.
I'm not unearthing any secrets here. This horse is likely going to be in your top 2 betting on choices come Friday. So I don't think that's anything crazy. But this horse is, she's special, I think. If you look at some of the races she's come here from, she won the Prix de l'Abbey last time at Longchamp. So that was actually against older horses. I mean, she beat 4 or 5, 3, 4, 5, 6-year-old horses as a 2-year-old. I mean, to be fair, she was getting like, I don't know, 20 pounds. So, I mean, there was a huge weight break because she's a 2-year-old. But, she's beaten older horses twice. She came back 3 back. And even though she ran second in that Wooten Bassett over at York, she lost to none other than Highfield Princess, who I'm sure we'll talk about later as the main threat to Golden Pal. So I think Platinum Queen, I mean, I know we're not really handicapping. We're just kind of giving some quick hitters on Euros here. But you have to respect this horse in here, despite the generally poor results of European horses in this race.
Yeah, I completely agree with Caleb and Harry. I think Platinum Queen is, an absolute. She's a monster. I mean, she's already proven that she's a monster. And the other thing you know about her is she can travel. And I realized going from England to Longchamp is not a crazy long trip or anything, but at least she's shown that she can handle going on multiple circuits. She can handle some travel. I don't know if they flew her or drove her, and she's just really freaking good. And her time form fix absolutely scream off the page. Caleb and I were chatting in one of our prep chats and kind of, do you single her here? And I almost think she could be potentially a lone A type in this race. I know this race is not historically won by the Europeans, but this one's just on a different level. She breathes different air.
Was there anybody else in this race that you guys thought was worth looking at?
I thought the one other horse I think is a little interesting is Aesop's Fable. And the thing I think about with Aesop's is this is a horse has caught some pretty soft going the last couple. Won the first 2 to start his career, and then it's just kind of caught some heavy going. And I'm wondering if coming over, catching better ground in the United States might be really good for this one. Figures aren't crazy slow. Has to figure some things out in here, but he has every right to, I think, take another step forward. And I sort of just wonder if with sort of his run style, if the heavier going was not to his liking the last couple.
Before you hop in here, Caleb, I did see Russ had a good question here. Said the Platinum Queen has not run any races with the turn. Would that be a concern?
I mean, I think it's with these 2-year-olds especially because there's really aren't any 5 furlong races over in Europe with turns on the turf anyway. I think it's always somewhat of a concern. It is an unknown, right? But I also think that argument kind of applies to pretty much every 2-year-old European horse that comes over here for the most part. Even turns or no turns, even the turns that they deal with over there, it's different than what we deal with here. I mean, Kentucky Downs is probably the closest thing to an example, and even that's not really a great comparison. So yeah, I mean, it's something that concerns me. It's always something I'm a little hesitant about. Not so much that does a horse know how to turn, perhaps, but overseas, I mean, the lead changes aren't nearly as important since you don't have to run around the turn. And a lot of times you'll see a lot of the Europeans will be, coming down the stretch in the wrong lead the whole way. And it's tough to win unless you're much, much the best running on your left lead the entire race. So that probably concerns me a little bit more as the mechanics. So that's something I look for when I kind of watch the replays is, are these horses actually switching leads at any point? Or are they kind of lugging in and flipping back and forth? So, but it's a concern. Yeah.
Mark, what do you think?
No, for all the reasons Caleb said, I don't need to rehash it. Everything he said is accurate there. Again, I worry about it less with the olders, but these 2-year-olds, it's definitely a concern, and could be part of the reason that some of these 2-year-old races tend to be a little bit more American dominated. So,
Caleb, was there any other Euro you want to talk about in here?
Yeah, there was one more. I did. So, I looked at Aesop's Fables. I wasn't sure what to do with him. His numbers are okay, but it just sort of seems, I don't know. He did run. It's not listed on the Brisnet form, but he ran on October 22nd in a listed stakes at Doncaster, and
Doncaster.
didn't really. Yeah, he ran okay. He ran second, was spotting some weight to the field, but just felt like a race he was kind of supposed to win. So I'm not really sure what to do with him. Kind of watching those back, he looked a little one-paced, even though the figures came back okay. So I haven't decided yet. The other horse I thought looked interesting in here was the number 18, Persian Force, as far as the Europeans go. So this is a horse that always kind of shows up. I mean, 7 starts, 3 wins, 3 seconds into third. Richard Hannon he doesn't have a huge barn. This is what he's on the record already saying it's best chance at a Breeders' Cup of any ones he's participated in. They actually already went out and booked Frankie Dettori on this horse, so they're feeling confident about their chances with this one. I watched that Juddmonte Middle Park Stakes back, and Persian Force was up contesting the pace in a race that largely went to the closers. So I think he was kind of best of the speeds that day. So I kind of upgraded the effort a little bit. He ran to Blackbeard twice in a row, who was going to be the favorite in this race, if not for the injury and ultimate retirement. So yeah, this is one that I think is going to benefit from stepping down to 5 furlongs for 5.5 from that 6. And I think he does have some early speed. He'll probably be somewhat towards the front, which I think you kind of want to be in these types of races. So he's one that interests me a little bit.
Hey, Caleb, the only other one in here we didn't mention that I thought was somewhat interesting was, I don't know what the numbers come up on the PPs, but was Dramaticized. I thought that was the horse that won the Queen Mary in June. Seemed to take a bit of a layoff after that. Came back in the Lothar. Don't really know who else was in that race, but seemed I don't know if that was just sort of a bounce to the moon, and then this is you get sort of the real Dramaticized back off from that race. Another one of these that was sort of really prodigal early in the year, had a big figure in that Queen Mary. Wonder if takes a step forward coming towards the end of the 2-year-old season.
Yeah, I think Dramatized is interesting in here. I mean, clearly, didn't really fire last time out. The obvious kind of excuse there is it didn't handle the extra furlong. That's one of the races I have not gotten to watch yet, so I can't say anything really beyond that. But had a great race in the Queen Mary. Definitely fits on figures and on form. So I think she makes sense in here. She's lightly raced and coming in off of a bit more of a layoff than we're accustomed to seeing these European horses enter with. But not my top pick in the race. But she does feel like the one horse that is kind of getting lost a little bit, but that could win at 10-1, and you're like, wow, like why didn't I have that horse?
Yep. Yeah, that was sort of my take on it as well. She's not going to be probably in your top 3 choices betting wise, but she is interesting here. So, and again, this is also one of those races where, and again, we're probably gonna do this all night, where we're looking at fields where there are like 25 or 30 entries, and obviously not that many are going to hit the starting gate. So we're sort of guessing to some degree who actually ships and who actually ends up hitting the gate to some degree.
Yeah.
So I'm looking at odds checker overseas. What odds do you think you get? What odds do you think right now the Platinum Queen is?
2-1.
Yeah, 2-1, 5-2.
5-2. Clear favorite.
I'm guessing Love Reigns probably second.
Yeah.
And
did you say and?
And yeah, tied with another horse.
Oh,
technically 2, I guess.
I thought
3 horses at 5-2.
I thought Love Reigns would be a pretty clear
3 horses
second.
at 8-1.
Love Reigns is 8-1.
Mm-hmm.
Wow.
A couple books have it 6-1, 15-2. Most have it to 7 or 8-1.
Interesting. On Bovada, Love Reigns is 7-2. Those are pretty.
Yeah, that seems more right.
2-1 is the Platinum Queen on Bovada.
Who are the
Speedboat Beach, I assume, is probably one of the others.
Yeah, and the Bob Baffert Turf Horse.
Yeah, sure.
Which is going to have all my money.
Is it really?
Probably.
Haven't you learned?
No, he hasn't.
No, I haven't. What
was the other Baffert Turf Sprinter that you bet?
It wasn't a turf sprinter. It was a turf. It was a router.
It was a turf router
that went to ended up going to Bill Mott's.
What was that horse's name?
That horse probably boomed him. The horse was like clearly the fastest on time for him, and Mark refused to use him.
Which
the Baffert Turf Horse?
Oh, the one that was his wife that moved to Mott and then moved back.
won the stakes race on Derby Day.
Yeah, I refused to use. And honestly, Jade,
Du jour, thank
I
you.
literally
Yeah.
Googled Baffert turf horse. It's the first thing that
Yeah.
pops up.
Yeah, the other horse that they have at 8-1 is Mischief Magic, the Charles
Who?
Appleby horse.
Mischief
Really?
Magic, yeah. I mean, I'm not crazy about that one, but
That horse is taking money off to being an Appleby horse. That's
yeah,
why.
that's what I'm
Probably.
thinking.
Private Creed is around there. Dramatized is as short as 6-1 in some spots. So, but 10-1 other places. So yeah, it's just interesting. I mean, like I said, these are futures markets. So, we'll see when we get closer. I did see Jay is champing at the bit here. He wants to talk Delta Downs.
Yeah, no, I think the 5 can get the lead here, and I do like your 5 if the 5 gets the lead. I ended up just on the 6 and the 7 here, but you seem to have a better feel on who makes the lead here, and yeah, wouldn't surprise me if the 5 gets the lead and wires this at 9-1.
I'm betting the 4 because his name is Knight's Sword, and I bet every Knight horse that I see.
I was super interested to bet this 6 horse because I thought the 6 horse would get the lead, and then I looked and the 6 horse is 6-5 off a 12-1 morning line. Am I looking at the right race? No, I'm not. I'm looking at the wrong race.
You are not.
Thank goodness.
3-1 morning line.
What the hell am I looking at? Goodness, man, it's a wonder that I freaking I can handicap anything. Although that has been questioned as well.
I mean, Josh, I guess we haven't really addressed the elephant in the room yet, but you did something yesterday, didn't you?
Yeah, I mean, that was that's the biggest hit I've had. That was around 13,000 on the pick 6. So late scratch did knock me down 2K, but Caleb basically hit me with the crying, wiping hundreds GIF after I was complaining about it last night. So, yeah, hit the pick 6 for $2. So hit it on it was like a $64 or $72 ticket, and then I had a $24 press ticket that was also for $1, and I went all A through the whole thing. So. It was kind of funny because we did cover it on our podcast and show, Drinking Champagne, and then at the end when I was kind of posting my ticket, I had the 3 who was the eventual winner of the last race. I had him in parentheses as a B, and I was like, I don't think I'm going to use this horse at all. Like, I'm going to need some scratches. And sure enough, the other horse I liked in the first leg scratched. And I was like, all right, I guess I'm going to use this horse. And then there was just something that Andrew said. Andrew was basically telling me, like, if that horse wins and I leave him off, I was going to feel like an idiot.
So you use that horse.
So I use that horse. So I didn't just use it as a B. I used it as an A. So we cannot use defensive B alert because it was a defensive A. I don't know if that's
you've broken that alert out for much less.
I mean, I guess you know what? I'm gonna put the alert on myself.
There it is.
We'll put the alert out there, but I'll dab my tears here. So, I went ahead. I upgraded my BC seats. Basically paid my Vegas trip that's coming up, and and I left bullets to fire for Breeders' Cup, so it should be fun here. But yeah, if you want to see, I post the tickets posted on my Twitter, and then if you want to see my thinking through it or thinking through it, check out last episode 3 of Drinking Champagne where we covered the carryover there. It's really funny because I just I like going over these races. I like giving my opinion and thoughts like that. I'm not huge on posting tickets and the whole ticket porn thing and posting it and being all right, this is what I'm going to play exactly. I'll post it in our group chat every once. I usually post everything I play in our group chat and stuff, but I'm not out there on Twitter oh, these are my plays or anything, because whatever, watch our show, listen to what we say, hey, maybe something gets used, maybe Caleb talks off a Mountaineer shipper, who knows what'll happen, right? But it was fun. Andrew, on the other hand, is the exact opposite of me. he was like, if you would have listened last night, and he's like posting like sharing the link and stuff, and so I had to post the winner after he had tagged me in it. So it looks like they're loading to the gate here. Jay's keying the 6, the 3, 4, 5 here. And thank you guys. I see the congrats in chat from Jimmy and Lloyd. I appreciate it. Mark, who do you think is getting the lead here? You think the 6 is getting the lead?
Yeah, I think the 6 gets a lead. But I don't hate, everything's basically wired tonight. So if you think that 5 can get sent and can clear, you're getting a lot of value getting that 5 on the front end.
That 5 looks all right.
Yeah, 5 doesn't look terrible.
I like the 1. I like the 1 the best, and the 1 scratched.
So I have the 5 as a B if that moves it up in your.
Oh,
in your book.
well then I got $20 to win on this 5 horse.
I mean, I could like realistically see any of these 6 runners in this field making the lead. Like nobody would really surprise me.
The 4 might get the lead actually.
I mean, I bet $2 to win on the 4. It's a night horse. Steven called it out already. I've made more money than I can remember on oil can night because that's a double hitter. And it's been nothing if not consistent.
All right. Well, I got the 5 to win, and then I'm going to use your 4 in the exacta box with the 5 here. We'll toss out this favorite the 6. The 3 is really the only pure E horse in this race, which is interesting. So we'll see if this 3 gets the lead.
By the way, Steven does come up with a very valid point here.
I finished the cupcake. The cupcake's done.
Oh, the poor cupcake. And everybody's going full sendy. The 5 somewhat missed the break.
Yeah, this 6 is in trouble though.
Yeah, 6 is not in a great spot. From here, it should be all 7.
4 is getting ready to make his big run.
Oh God. All right, track flip. Get up there, 5. On a normal track, this 5 looks really good.
Oh yeah, he's got him.
Does he?
Nah.
Does he really?
No.
Oh yeah, easy.
Oh.
Yeah, I don't care. I don't care if I backdoored in that one. I don't care that I thought that 5 was going to get the lead, but
Don't ask how.
yeah. Well, that I was telling Mark that I was very happy with myself today because I think I only lost like $100, and like it was funny because we've talked about this before, like the mental aspect of the game, right? And like I think I don't know if I said it on here, if I said it after one of our things. I think I told Caleb specifically. I'm like, Caleb, actually, he's zooming. I'm gonna say, Caleb, if you see me playing a pick 5 for a base more than $54, you punch me in the face. Because all of a sudden, dude, like I was playing like I would hit for like $1,000 or something. And then all of a sudden I'm like, oh, like I'm great. Like I know what I'm doing. And like all of a sudden I'm playing like $72, $96 50-cent base pick 5s. And like, like if you don't hit on those, like that definitely like is gonna, burn through your bankroll real quick. And I just wouldn't like, all of a sudden I hit a little bit. Now like I'm playing, $20 exactas, $50 win bets and stuff. And I was just like, all right, let's pump the brakes a little bit. Let's get most of that cash out of there so nobody gets any funny ideas about trying to play BCBC. And but bet down from 8-1 to 5-1 that last tick. But I will take the $100. Let's see. We got about 2 minutes to Remington here. What do we got? What do we got cooking here? Because Remington's. I was actually going to play a pick 4, like that was my plan, but then I had to go to the dentist, and then I decided to treat myself to steak in the cupcake. So I kind of that kind of went down the train here. But looks like the 6 Texas Skywalker taking all the money. They do realize that this is not a dirt race or a turf race, right? Because this, I guess this horse kind of sucks on the turf too. But this horse just sucks.
I mean, the rest of the
surprised
field also sort of sucks.
Yeah.
I mean, 6 is the big clash dropper. I'm guessing that's probably what the public's kind of keying in on here.
I mean, I don't know. I kind of like this 3 the first time gelding here.
Josh finds the E-horse.
Exactly, the E-horse. The only E-horse, though.
He looks like the only E-horse, and he's also dropping. I mean, he was competitive at that claiming level, back in May 13th. I kind of looked at him a little bit.
I'm just saying, like, if you like the 6, you probably got to like the 3 as well, right? I mean, they look kind of similar. It's coming off a bullet work here.
I'm kind of debating like a 6'3 exacta maybe. It's currently paying 26 for 2.
This 2 in the cutback. Not taking any money. Mark, did you see anything here?
No, I didn't really cap Remy. I have no feel here at all. So,
I mean, neither do I, but that doesn't stop me. Yeah.
Now, did Remy used to be a CDI track, and they are no longer a CDI track?
No, I don't think so.
Something clearly changed because I can now bet it through my non-CDI ADW.
I'm like looking at this 4, trying to like it. But man, why this horse is jumping up in class huge? What in the world? 5 just broke its maiden. Maybe the light bulb angle for J.R. Caldwell.
High percentage connections there.
That's what I was kind of looking for too. Is like, I mean, David Cabrera's fine. I mean, he rides that circuit, that Texas, Oklahoma circuit. Big drop though. What are final prices as they're loading in the gate here? Remington. I'm gonna take a shot with this. 3 again.
I'm playing a little 6 over 1 3 exacta.
I'm gonna do a 3 4 5 exacta here too.
I feel like I should be mushing Josh's wagers at the current moment.
Yeah, especially after that last race at Delta.
Seriously. The first horse is closed all night.
That's exactly why I picked it as well. Oh, Jay saying some bad betting on my part. That's Jay. I mean,
Jay, you don't. That's
I go
not
months.
Not even the tip of it.
All right. So this 3 gets out to the lead, and let me check to see how much money he takes as he gets to the turn.
I'm guessing he goes like 7-2.
He's 3-1.
Okay.
The 6 is 3-5 though.
Oof.
And I have no faith in this 6 at all.
6 looks like he's just already out of horse.
Yeah, he already looks like he's getting asked a little bit here.
Yeah.
1 has a little bit
yeah, this 1 though looks like he's fucking
10-1.
means business.
This feels like one of them horses at 3-5 that look dead in the turn and just like find a way to grind
anyways, because he's got 4 working legs.
I don't know though. He looks like he's pretty much shot. This 1 looks gone.
He looks like he's pretty done, and the 1 looks gone.
I had the right 3 horses, but not in the right order.
Rebrake. No, he's not
He needs a lot of rebrake right now.
Oh my God, is the 6 gonna get up for second?
No. Maybe.
So.
No.
That's a fucking ugly race.
That was a horrible race.
What did I miss on this?
You guys give me crap about betting Delta, then you're betting that crap? Come on now.
I don't know, man.
I mean, I only have Briz open, and the ones last like 5 Briz figs all fit. That's
I mean, did leave the Rupishaw Rampurdan Durat barn.
Who?
So maybe I have no fucking clue. I think this is the only horse that that trainer had. Oh, they own it. Family member owns it, and actually went to a competent trainer. Well,
who owns it?
Rampa Durat, someone's uncle
I
or
know,
cousin or
whatever.
whatever.
Just see if you'd say.
I have no idea. Someone owns it. Dan Motti. I think that's how you pronounce it.
Yeah, that sounds right.
That sounds good. All right, so let's go back to Breeders' Cup here for a little bit here. You know what was one interesting thing that I did notice is there's only 1 Japanese horse tripping over, huh?
Yeah, a little disappointing.
Yeah.
After
And
last
hopefully
year,
they
with all the success they had with Love's Only You and Marsh Lorraine, like you would have thought they would have shipped over more. I don't know what the deal is.
Yeah, and also cleaning house in Dubai over the winter and
Yep.
Saudis, and I mean, all the Japanese horses have been firing, doing very well in world competition. You'd hope they would have sent over more. I don't know what the deal is, but a little frustrating.
Anyways, let's take a look at race number 8 here on Breeders' Cup Friday. It's just going to be the Breeders' Cup Juvenile Fillies Turf. Caleb, actually, we'll start with Mark because I think Caleb talked about the Platinum Queen, who's going to be like 2-1 for about 30 minutes. So, Mark, who do you like in this race?
Yeah, no, I think. Well, I mean, of the European shippers, I think Meditate is the really interesting horse in here. From the Aidan O'Brien barn, this is a horse that has gotten better slowly every single start of her career. She wheeled off 4 straight wins to start it off, and has run really well and just kind of seems to be that consistent type that just gets a little bit better every time out. Pedigree says Miles should be fine. I think this is a horse that, of the European shippers, that's the one that I'm most interested in here. Don't know how Caleb saw it. I mean, obviously the first time around the corners, going around corners and have to go around 2 of them is always an interesting thing. But what were you thinking in here?
Yeah, so this is not a race I've had a ton of time to look at. I do agree with you that I think Meditate sort of looks like the one to beat just based off of her form lines. Coming out of 2 really good races. I mean, Tahira is a very, very nice filly. I listened to a podcast earlier where she was described as an absolute weapon, and that's the most European thing I've ever heard someone describe a horse as. So I was for it. And then, last time, once again, just, finding one slightly better. But I think she is the horse to beat in here for sure. None of the Europeans beyond her really did a ton for me. The one I haven't really decided what to do with is Midnight Mile. She's kind of the wild card in the race a little bit, and that it doesn't really seem like anybody expected her to be this good. She went off at 14-1 on her debut and ended up, winning that, and then returned in a Group 3 at Newmarket and won that one as well at
Well,
22-1.
I'll give you I think this is one of those things you always run into. Sorry to cut you off, Caleb,
Go
but
ahead.
you run into with some of these European races is that it was a $67,000 stakes. That's really an allowance race, right? Like a lot of these times they're listed as this is a graded stakes. And you then look at the person, you're like, oh, okay, well, who is she really going against? I get that, but I do agree with your take here. I think that she's definitely the kind of horse that they probably didn't know what they had, and they weren't expecting as much as they got. But I think you have to be a little realistic, just given the placing.
Yeah, I mean, perhaps. Like, I think it's probably important to recognize a group. Typically, their Group 3s are just cheaper than ours. I mean, if you look at any other Group 3, I mean, they're going to range 60 to 80,000, maybe 100 for the higher end ones, perhaps on the the ARC undercard if they have one or something like that. But yeah, I mean, it is a Group 3 nonetheless, whether it's a great Group 3 or not. I mean, I haven't seen many runbacks from there, so I can't really say. And I guess my point is that it's an undefeated horse that seems to be trending in the right direction.
Yep.
That doesn't really take money, so I don't know what to make of her. Pedigree says Miles should be perfect. It remains to be seen if she's really this good, though. I think that's kind of the question. I'd probably go to a couple Americans in this spot, although I do really respect Meditate probably on top. She's probably the only European that I'm super interested in from what I've looked at so far.
Yeah, I would tend to agree. I think this is one of those races where I'm more interested in betting the Americans than I am the Euro shippers. And Meditate's probably the one European that I'm interested in.
Yeah, it looks like Meditate's your top choice. Delight is Meditate's at 3-1. Delight's at 4-1. Pleasant Passage is another one that's taking money. That's Shug McGahee 8-1. Midnight Mile 10-1.
What's American Apple at?
There's a star next to American Apple. Is she an AE?
I don't know. She's 20-1 on Bovada.
Yeah, she's an AE.
Okay, cool.
Yeah, but I see her at 21.
The matron might not be winning your end then.
No idea. It might not be winning. Well, yeah, I don't know. The juvie races are always weird.
So she has first preference in the juvenile turf sprint. Maybe that's what it is.
Okay.
Maybe, yeah. And then let's move on to the juvenile turf.
Cool.
Caleb, what did you kind of see here?
Yeah, so this is the race has to obviously start with Silver Knot, right? I mean, Go Dolphin, Charlie Appleby has just owned North American stakes racing on turf the last 3 years or so. And this one looks awfully well meant. The horse is coming in off of a win, in one of those crappy $60,000 Group 3s that Mark calls allowance races, but nevertheless comes in off a Group win here, a Group 3 win. Ran a Group 2 last time, lost to Chaldean as a pretty heavy favorite, but Chaldean came back to win the Dewhurst, so I think that form's been franked a little bit. Maybe that loss isn't as bad as it seems. If there's such a thing as a loss at 3-5, that's not as bad as it seems. But I think this horse fits in here, and I don't know that I think this horse is an absolute monster. From what I've kind of seen, I don't know that I would say that he is, but I don't know that I see a ton of Americans that I think are really up to the task either. So I think in what to me sort of projects to be a weaker rendition of the juveniles turf, I think Silver Knot is going to be a favorite, going to be a relatively heavy favorite. And despite the fact that I don't even think he's the best 2-year-old in his own barn, I think he probably is a deserving favorite in this spot.
Yeah, I saw it much the same as Caleb here with Silver Knot on top. The only other Euro I was a little bit interested in, I still don't quite know what to make of, is Victoria Road, the Aidan O'Brien horse. One that cut back off the last, has reeled off 3 in a row. None of them are crazy impressive, but he just kind of gets it done, grinds out those wins. And actually, if you watch that Prix de Conde, he was headed and then fought back, which is not something you see a lot of 2-year-olds that are able to do. Figures wise, he's a little bit light, but it definitely seems like a horse that's got heart. I don't know if we're still fading Aidan O'Brien shippers. We were all year right up until this point. I think he's only had one horse win or something at graded stakes in the US this year. But I think of the Euros, that's the only other one that I want a little bit of. But again, the question mark really is just, is he good enough?
Do you remember when we thought Joseph O'Brien was going to just fuck Saratoga up?
Oh, yeah. And then he gave all those horses away and just went home.
Yeah, oh, goodness gracious. Left his top hat though.
Yeah.
So Silver Knot is 3-2, 11-8. I see Cairo, another one at 13-2, 6-1. Paxa Wallop at 7-1. And then you start getting into double digits. Victoria Roads at 10-1, 14-1 at William Hill. So and it gets pretty long pretty quick. So if you're against Silver Knot in this spot, I think you're definitely going to get a price, because it definitely looks like that's where all the money's going. The other one is the other one taking money, like I said, was Cairo, the other Aidan O'Brien horse. Any interest in this one?
He's one I have to do a little more replay work on. At a glance, he fits. And I guess I really can't say more than that. I like the fact he's already proven at a mile, which is more than you can say for most of the European horses that come over in these kind of spots. Most of the Americans are obviously already proven at a mile and generally at 2 turns coming into these races. So I do like the fact that Cairo, albeit not an American mile, does have a win at a mile and has never missed the exacta. But I'm not really sure what he's been beating in his last couple of starts. Those aren't the strongest fields, so I need to do a little more work on him. But he's one I'd be skeptical of at a short price. At 6, 7, 8 to 1. I mean, maybe I could see it.
Yeah, I would completely agree with Caleb there. He's a horse that makes some sense, but there's a lot of other ones in here that I'm more interested in. Actually, I'm more interested in a number of Euros than I am of Cairo. So the price would have to be right on Cairo, and I don't know if it's 6 or 7 to 1. For me, it's probably 12 or 14 to 1 kind of a range. Just given the fact this will be a full field.
So I see. Well, actually, before we go to Delta real quick, what do you guys use? What products do you guys use? Where are you guys looking? What do you guys do with the European horses? Where do you guys kind of lean on?
I like the Timeform fix. Timeform works really well for me, so I have Timeform up. Also have the DRF formulator product up, so I do have DRF speed figures. And then a lot of these European races, if you just do a YouTube search, you can find the races. Most of them are available online, so you can just pop up and watch the races. So I do like to watch a lot of them. And again, run dynamics in these races are quite a bit different than run dynamics in U.S. races. So a lot of times figures come back light on some of these, and you just go, oh, wow, that horse had crazy turn of foot. That was visually crazy impressive. That's a horse I move up. Those kind of things with a little bit of video work.
Yeah, I think it's a cool question because I think Mark and I approach it a little differently. I do use Timeform pretty heavily, but for me, it's mostly for like the comments. When you click on it, you get like a very expanded comment line for the horses instead of just like the 4 abbreviated words that we get for the American PPs. So that's always helpful for me. Personally, I don't put as much stock into the figs. I just don't have a ton of confidence in them. I'll use them qualitatively, maybe directionally, but I don't put as much stock into them perhaps as maybe Mark does. But that kind of is nice because if we end up on the same horse, I feel a little more confident as we get there going different ways. For me, I'll pull up racingpost.com. I'll look up the horses that way. I'll kind of see how the horses they faced have fared in their subsequent efforts or their previous races to see if that form has come back to be a pretty strong race or if the horses have typically gone on to disappoint. And then a lot of replay work. Like Mark said, you can find a lot of this stuff on YouTube or just Googling the name of the horse followed by like the race they were in. And generally, if you can't get the full race on Twitter, a lot of the times at the races, the Twitter account will post like the last 30 seconds or 45 seconds of the race. You can at least catch the stretch run. So that's kind of how I do most of my work.
I'm doing my my marking up my PPs for this Delta Downs race. Mark, where did you land on this in this Delta Downs race?
Race 8, I was on the 2 and the 4 here. I think that both the 1 and between the 1 and the 1A, I think both are coming from a little bit out of it. I want somebody a little more forwardly placed. I thought 2 and 4 were more interesting. They're both taking money because they're Broberg horses, even though Broberg hasn't been winning it. The normal Broberg clip at Delta.
Let's see, how does this work? Well, that's too much work. I mean, I did see that there was a 3 cherry horses too here. Currently at 7-1.
I mean, I like that, dude. I said the 2 and the 4. The 2 is one of them. I really like that too.
I mean, this 2 looks like he's going to get just dummy loose, doesn't he?
Dumb loose. Yeah. Absolutely dumb loose.
I mean, maybe the 1A on the coupled entry tries to go and keep him honest, like maybe, but like, I don't know. I mean, this 2 seems like he ought to be out there winging it.
And I don't know if you guys saw the picture of the steak and that like caprese salad I made. I have a nice little whiskey. I am feeling a little bougie. No? Keith Bourgeois or whatever, right? Bougie? No? Do I need a cupcake again? Yeah, I think I will put some money on this too. Let's not overthink things at Delta Downs, right? It's Thursday night. It's a nice, relaxing night. Racing kind of actually, I was gonna say racing kind of sucks this weekend. I saw that Belmont's got a couple of stakes this weekend. I don't know. Have you looked at entries for that at all, Mark?
No, I haven't looked at entries yet.
The Kelso, isn't Kelso one of your favorite horses of all time?
Sure. Kelso is an awesome horse, but I don't know about favorite horses of all time.
Isn't that like in order to be a New Yorker, don't you have to like love the horse Kelso?
I think that's the rule.
No,
I'm pretty sure. Where's Road Warrior at? I think Road Warrior probably agrees.
Well, it's on Thursday, and he can't do Thursdays anymore.
Yeah.
No. I mean, the Kelso is a cool race. It's at a much better track this year, which is nice. But yeah, I most of my this coming next few days is gonna be just see if I can last minute get myself a BC spot.
Yeah, I haven't looked either. I think me and Pops will probably jump into the Aqueduct tournament, so yes. I will look, but up until like today, with the exception of that double pick 6 carry at the Duck I had to chase today, I'm mostly just kind of prepping for Breeders' Cup at this point, or tailing Josh's place.
Yeah, that's how I'm prepping for Breeders' Cup. But like, how like some trainers they train into a race. I'm gonna bet into Breeders' Cup. So
tailing Josh's picks, things you thought you'd never say, huh?
Yeah, Jay says that it is a state law that New Yorkers have to like Kelso. So
I'm barely a New Yorker.
it's
I mean,
like
Vermont's
not being able to bet on Easter. It's just a thing. I'm sorry,
thing?
it's just how
Okay.
it is. And I also like how Caleb, you're like, yeah, Pops and we might play the tournament. Come on,
We're already in.
Yeah, I was gonna say how many tournaments have you guys missed?
Yeah, we've been riding this wave for a little bit, so we wouldn't call it a hot streak. We're on like a lukewarm streak, but
Jay, man, I love it. Completely tossing the chalk.
I still have yet to not cash one of those contests. I haven't played them in a year, but
I guarantee you that when we're sitting at Breeders' Cup and there's 20 minutes, 30 minutes, 40 minutes between the race, you're going to see Dad looking at his phone, betting the duct.
Is Indiana Grand running?
I don't think
they're running. They're running.
No.
Remember last year was weird because last year they ran on Saturdays.
Yeah.
But yeah, they don't run. Jeez. I don't know. Like this is really gonna put the good luck charm to test. I think this trip.
That's right.
Because your dad's had 2 nice scores the 2 trips we've taken together. So we'll see what happens here.
Were either of them at the trip you took together's location?
Yeah, the Keeneland one.
Oh,
he hit the pick 5 the first trip. He hit the pick 5 the first day.
Because I remember him hitting like a Delmar pick 5 or something.
He hit the Delmar pick 5 in the car at Saratoga
for like 10 grand. yeah. All right, looks like we're at post time here. Got a fun little picture of the. Hey, how about Fairgrounds, huh?
Good
Fairgrounds
for them.
doing the right thing.
Good for them.
I mean, it's like the first time we've seen. I take that back. We've seen some of the gimmicky wagers come out with low takeouts, but it's the first time we've seen a CDI track. It feels like come out with a player friendly wagering change or just general formatting change. So that's really nice.
I was talking. I messaged Mark Midland the other day. I forgot we were talking about something, and it was something about. Oh, I remember he had posted a picture of Arlington, and it just like and he was just talking about how sad it was, and I was like, Mark, I can't do this today, and we were just kind of, I forgot what else like had come up, but it was just like one of those things where it's like, like they do some things right, but they do some things so fucking wrong, just like, which for the most part outweighs the good. Like, and then they do something like this, and it's like it's hard to get excited for it. It's in the winter. It's probably the best betting product in my opinion. So I love playing it. Caleb, I know you like playing it. This 2 loves being out on the lead.
Yeah, I've been in my recent like Fairgrounds like conversion because I never played Fairgrounds ever, even though I live in Louisiana. And then last year, like I wasn't doing well at Oaklawn or Aqueduct, so I tried it, and it was like just free money. I mean, you just take the speed. Like Josh, you could probably they should build you a statue over there because it's literally just like take the speed. Dirt sprints, forget about it. Dirt routes a little more fair. The turf was a little bit tough for me, but yeah, I'm excited for it. I'm really excited that it's a lower takeout pick 5. Like even for a while they had like a black and gold pick 5 or some garbage jackpot pick 5. So yeah, like really excited for the changes.
And the pick 6 is going to be $1 now, right?
Yeah, I could take or leave that change because I don't think that's going to attract very much money. So my guess is that's probably going to go unhit like a third of the time. So it'll be nice for those days where you get like 2, 3, 4 carries in a row, and then you get, maybe $100 grand in the pot. Because in that pool, I would be surprised if it attracts more than, $10,000-$20,000 a pop. I got $2 to win on this 5 horse at Delta. Did he really go off at the 20-1?
It was 11-1.
Looks like 11-1.
11-1. He was 19-1 in the gate, but that works.
Star Guitar in Louisiana. I should have known.
That was the angle, man. Star Guitar in Louisiana. I mean, I also figured if the 2 quits, because the 2 does look like he's a bit fast early, slow late, the 5 has to be the only horse that's within a zip code of him turning for home.
Oh, dude, I'm surprised that I was surprised that Meditate is running at Delta Downs here before the Breeders' Cup.
We're doing my local prep.
Oh, Jay, the only EP horse I didn't use. That sucks, man.
tough
Yeah,
one.
that does suck, man.
Who got second?
I think one of the Brobergs did.
See, I tried to also get an exacta with the 2 and the 6 in there, but I think it may have been the 1 or the 1A that got up there in between.
Yeah,
I know the 4 was on the outside, who I did not have. So
I think it was 514.
Okay, well I got the win bet anyway. $2 at a time.
$2 at a time.
I was against the favorite. Just picked the wrong price.
All right, so we got about 6 minutes till Remy. I know Mark, you have no clue what's going on here, but that's okay. Right now, your favorite right now is going to be the 6 at 7-5. G, she's pretty for 6-1 on the line, down to 7-5. Scratch the 1 in this race, Summer Cat, which I think was the original favorite. So maybe let's see how this pace looks with the scratch of this 1 here. I don't know. I'm seeing another 3 cherry horse here. The 5, little sure shot. Yeah,
I'm gonna land on the 2 here. I've done absolutely zero handicapping, but HRN gave it their best pick, and it's a little bit of a price, so I'm going there.
There we go. That's a logic I like, Mark.
Yeah, dude. Hey, that's better than when you're like looking at remember TVG, they would like do their Trackmaster picks.
Oh my god!
And then one of them would be like, I'm not sure. I have no idea, but I just got a feeling.
About this one.
And it's 3 stars. I'm like, what the fuck? Or there was a time where I was always giving Murphy crap about the check marks on time form.
Oh,
like, how many check marks? How many check marks is it? Like, it was the 5 check mark horse. So Mark taking the HRN 2 here. Clearly, I'm going to take this 5.
Who are they betting? They're betting the 6, huh?
They're betting the 6.
Yeah, 6 is taking all the money.
6 looks fine.
But the gauge yet to pop, so who knows what the odds will really be.
Yeah, 5 is definitely a 3 cherry horse.
3 cherry horse, and it looks like the horse is improving, or has improved off the layoff. So it's coming third off the layoff.
I'm a little tempted to bet the 3. I'm trying to decide if he's like a dead set need the lead horse, because I do think your 5 gets the lead, but I kind of think the 3 is maybe a touch more reliable. Getting. Yeah, I don't know. Out of the Asmussen barn, though, maybe that is kind of tough. It doesn't look like he has much interest in passing horses, except for like 1 or 2 starts back there.
Is interesting though, the fig pattern on this horse. I mean, really just fucking bounces after every like somewhat decent speed figure effort.
Yeah, I mean, I get why they're betting this 6, I guess, but these are the 2 for 17 lifetime horses at 8-5 are the ones I generally try to beat.
That's why I went with a 2 for 15.
Yeah, but he's not 8-5.
11-1 now. All right, I definitely got to bet this horse. Let's get in here. Hey, dude, I'm free rolling right now after that Delta Downs race, so why not? And I'm gonna use an exacta with your 2 here, Mark.
I like it.
All right, and then so we got a couple minutes here. We'll start looking at Saturday. A couple of the turf races here, the Euro races. Turf sprint once again, mostly dominated by Americans. I mean, Wesley Ward's just got a full hand in this race. So I really don't know. Like, is there anybody here shipping over that's worth a look?
Go ahead, Mark.
I'm sorry. Which race now? So we're skipping.
I tried to let you start, and you just
We're skipping what? We're not skipping anything. We already did all the Friday.
There's no Euros in the filly and mare
There's
sprint.
a Japanese horse in the filly and mare sprint.
Okay.
Yeah, Channel loves the filly and mare sprint. We can skip her. There's no need to talk about her. She's somewhat interesting, but I don't know what spot they end up taking with her, and we'll see. In the turf sprint, I mean, Highfield's Princess is in there. She's an absolute monster. I would have to think she ends up as I don't know if you're trying to beat Golden Pal, which I seem to continually try to do in the United States, and I, will probably once again try to do in the United States and fail miserably. But Highfield Princess is an absolute monster. She's been absolutely freakishly good. Her time form figures on her last two have just been absolutely absurd. What did she end up running? Sorry, I'm flipping through to get there. Yeah, her 2 back race was a 134 time form in that Northrop, which is absolutely absurd. She's been in just crazy good form. And I think, Golden Pal will take all of the US money. I don't know what price you get on Highfield Princess, but man, I think she's super interesting in this spot. And if you're, like me and keep trying to beat Golden Pal for some reason that makes no sense, she's probably the one that's most likely to do it in here.
Highfield Princess is the same price currently as Golden Pal.
Yeah, I think at post time, Golden Pal does end up maybe a touch shorter, but Highfield Princess is going to have the weight of the entire continent of Europe on her back. Like, this is their feel good story. Yeah. This is their fucking Seabiscuit, rags to riches kind of deal, small barn, went up through the ranks, 5-year-old mare that all of a sudden gets really, really good. Definitely, the pick if you're voting with your heart, to be sure. And she is also makes sense on paper. It's not just a one-eyed horse story here. It's a actually strong, legitimate contender. I agree with everything Mark said. Her last 3 or 4 races have just been incredible. Especially that last race. If you watch the replay back at the Corral, I mean, she just obliterates that field and could have won by more, truthfully. So I think she's a huge threat. You have to pay attention to her. Depending what you think of Golden Pal and depending how you think her style translates to America, I guess that's probably one way that maybe you separate those two. I think a lot of folks are billing this as a 2-horse race, and I don't know that I would entirely disagree with them. But there are a number of other Europeans in here, I suppose. Although I do think the Highfield Princess is certainly the European horse to beat.
Yeah, I mean, my issue with all the other Europeans is that there's a bunch of them. They may end up taking some money, and I just had a really hard time getting to any of the other ones. The only one I thought made maybe a tiny bit of sense would be Creative Force. You had to squint a little bit, but you would think that the pedigree's there, the connections all the way around are there. If Appleby actually does ship this one, Creative Force does make some sense. 6-14 lifetime, and all those ones coming on turf. Interesting horse. That I don't know. It probably ends up being maybe your 4th or 5th most likely winner in here, I would think. The price would have to be right for a spot play, though.
Yeah, I mean, he has a couple of races that would maybe fit. I don't know that he's really going to love the cut back to 5.5. I think he really is one of those horses that prefers, a 6 to 7 furlong type trip on the straight. So I don't know the trip works for him today. That's kind of my gut feeling from what I've seen on some of the replays. But he is the one that at least appears to be in okay form. A lot of the other Euros that are coming over just, quite frankly, seem pretty out of form. I mean, you look at horses like Ladies Church coming out of a terrible race. Naval Crown, on his day, he could actually win this race. He has a couple of races that would be extremely competitive, but it's hard to expect him to throw those back given what he's shown in his last 3 starts. So yeah, I just don't think that the Europeans that are coming over, with the exception of Highfield Princess, are ones that I think are going to be able to run down Golden Pal when he gets out there on the lead.
Yeah, I mean, also like Go Bears Go or a Flotus, or I think you said Ladies Church already, horses that are just really off form. And I don't know why suddenly I should expect a massive bounce back with shipping to the US. And, there used to be a thing where they would get Lasix when they came over. So a lot of these would step up just off that. But you don't have that anymore. So, Go Bears Go, I think there was a period of time where we thought, he was going to be a monster, and then he's just sort of never stepped up and become that. And somebody like Ladies Church, there's a lot of disappointment lately. Flotus, I think Flotus, we thought at one point, a few races back, like, oh, this could be a really good horse. And the last 3 are just kind of inexcusable. There's a lot of that in this race. So, I do think it sort of becomes an AC type race, at least on paper for me. 2 A's and then a couple of C's that could potentially have some massive upside, but a race that you tend to look for calamity. I almost feel feels a little dirty being that cute in here.
You're fucking 2-1.
I did not actually get a bet on the race.
Open links, Mark. I hope you bet something on it.
I had 20 to win out.
There you go. 4-1.
So you're saying I should play Remington and Delta, huh?
Yeah, I mean, hey, if the shoe fits, if the rebate fits,
If the rebate shoe fits.
what happened to Twilight Gleaming? Isn't that the other Westward horse, or one of them, Turf Sprinters?
It is one of them. I don't know what happened to.
Because she won, or they won the Turf Sprint last year, right? And it looks like they're not entered in this race, so I was curious.
Didn't that horse just run at Keeneland like a couple weeks ago?
I think the horse just ran at Keeneland, and there have been some interesting defections and interesting horses that aren't being Breeders' Cup pointed that everybody kind of is scratching their head. I know Craig Milkowski had a tweet out where a couple of horses, and he kind of called people out on it, like, why are these horses not going to the Breeders' Cup? And there's a few of those that you kind of go, huh, interesting. The one I laughed at, I can't remember which horse it was, but the connections were skipping the Breeders' Cup because they didn't think their horse would like the paddock at Keeneland. I can't remember who it was.
Oh.
Let me see if I can find it real quick.
We won't see it because the horse literally ran today. But I was low-key hoping to get Thin White Duke in the Breeders' Cup because I actually may have had a little bet on him at probably 40-1. But he ran today at Aqueduct and did win convincingly, but clearly not going to run it back on 10 days rest. So
yeah, Jimmy's saying that she's a 5 furlong specialist. So
yeah, she ran in the Franklin Stakes. I looked it up 2 weeks or like 10 days ago and ran 4th. So probably.
Oh yeah, because that fucking Caravel won that race.
Yeah.
Stupid ass horse.
Let's not talk about Caravel. We're gonna probably have to talk about Caravel, but let's not talk about Caravel.
Not tonight.
No. Yeah, no. This is gonna be a fun race to talk about once we get full because, Westward's got like if Golden Pal wasn't in here, right? The other 2 Westward horses are also super interesting.
Yeah.
And Campanelle and
Arrest
who's
Me
the other
Red.
one? Yeah, Arrest Me Red. Thank you. Arrest Me Red is like Golden Pal Jr., like just fucking shut out like a cannon. But yeah, it's gonna be a fun race to handicap. I always like that race. It's always full, and I always feel like you get chaos in those turf sprints. So we'll see what happens. Race for the Maker's Mark Breeders' Cup Filly and Mare Turf. Caleb.
By the way, your numbers are killing me. Your numbers are killing me because it's going to be race 6, but it's just the 4th. Yeah.
Oh, it's race 6. Sorry, it's just the way the PPs are. So.
Yeah.
No, it's fine. I just bitching for no real legit reason.
I mean, that's basically the stream. So. Caleb, what did you like in this race?
Oh man, this is like probably, I don't know if it's my favorite race of the day, but it's definitely one of them. I really like this race. I think there's a lot of ways you can go in this field. I think that there's a couple of local horses that wouldn't be a surprise. I think a lot of the European horses fit in here. So there's a lot of ways you can go. I have a horse that I love in this race that I'm going to save and see if Mark comes up with because I'm curious. But where the race starts with is your pretty heavy favorite, Nashua, who is number 9 on Brisnet. This is a horse that is pretty short overseas. I think I've seen like less than 2-1 typically when I looked last, like 9-5 maybe. So the horse is going to be short to be sure. But she's the horse for me that I think at 9-5 in my book, she's an underlay. And I get it that she's very talented. She ran a good race last time. You did get beat by a 60-1 long shot when you had the lead in the shadow of the wire. Now, Place du Carousel ran a monster race, unleashed a devastating kick, and got up very late. But Nashua also barely held off Above the Curve, who is a respectable, filly in this race that's likely to be 4 times the price. So I like Nashua. I do. I think that her race, two back was very impressive. She has the ability to race on the lead. She also can come from pretty much dead last. Two back, she closed from dead last at Chantilly, where she, was chasing into a very slow pace. And when she got into the clear, she just mowed that field down. Holly Doyle's ship's over for the ride, which you have to feel good about given the way that she's been riding this year. So I think Nashua makes a lot of sense in here. She's a good horse. 10 furlongs is absolutely right in her wheelhouse. I think 12 furlongs is probably a little bit too far, as we saw in the Oaks. So to me, I think she's a good filly. I think she's an excellent filly, but I think she's going to be an underlay for me in this race. So because I think there's just a lot of really interesting horses in here, and there's a couple I'd like to talk about, but I'll punt to Mark first.
Yeah, I'm amazed how much I'm agreeing with Caleb in here. So Nashua to me is a horse that, is she good enough? Yeah, on paper she is, but I would have loved to see her win the Opera. I would have loved to see the Opera winner come over and run in this race, because I think Opera winners coming and running in this race have something like, it's crazy. It's like a 45 or a 50% win chance. It's they win about half the time. I mean, this is a race that tends to be dominated by the Europeans. And I don't have a single European labeled as an A in here. Nashua's going to be a B on my ticket at best. And I think I realize we're talking Europeans. I think an Italian becomes my top choice in here. Caleb called it in the Diana. They ran her at Keeneland in the First Lady. She was very impressive in that as well. And I think I really like an Italian back here, here in this race. And her figures really scream and really sort of fit in here. The horse I'm wondering if Caleb was hoping that I was going to talk about is Dreamloper. And I do not like her in here. And my thing with Dreamloper is I really wonder with her why they didn't go to the Opera, but they went to and they ran her in the Prix de Moulin. And I just, I sort of wonder why they ran her at a mile versus running a little bit further. Figures fit. Yeah, she did win that race, pretty damn easily and looked really kind of impressive doing it. She won by 5.5. But she beat horses like Order of Australia, who, well, yeah, let's not talk about Order of Australia either. I don't really know. I need to go through and do a little bit more work and a little more digging on this race. But as of right now, I'm somewhat against the Europeans in a race that they kind of have dominated.
Yeah, so just I am very interested in Dreamloper, but not in this race. Her first preference is in the mile, and that's where I think
Agreed.
she makes a lot more sense. So, yes, that being said, we can maybe talk about her later because I find her very interesting, but not here. The other, Euros that we need to talk about, there's a lot we probably should talk about, but touching on some of them on here, I think Tuesday is likely to be your second Euro choice in this field. And this is a horse that I think is a bit polarizing for a lot of folks. She was very, very highly regarded earlier in the season. She was kind of fancied as one of your, Oaks favorites, actually, and she went into that race at 6-1 and actually did pull off the win. The problem with Tuesday is that it doesn't really seem like she's stepped forward at all since that Oaks effort. And not to say that she's run terribly, but she really hasn't continued developing, it seems. It's kind of fair to wonder if maybe she's better at 12 furlongs as opposed to 10, since her last race was, arguably her worst. So she's one that I think is interesting. I'm not really sure what to do with her in this field. I do think she was kind of against the pace of the race, two back in the Prix Vermeil. And that was a race where the leaders kind of all held together and nothing really changed. But I thought she ran an excellent second in the Yorkshire Oaks to Alpinista. We obviously know Alpinista went on to win the Arc pretty impressively as the favorite. So I think that piece of form is actually really good. And if she can find a way back to some of those races, I think she actually kind of fits in here. But her last two have not really been great. She's not coming into the race you'd like to see a horse like this, with the form coming in that you would hope to see. The horse in here that I actually love is the number 14, Via Sistina. And I'll concede she needs to probably run a career best to win this race. she certainly has to win a career best to win this race. But this is a horse who I think missed most of this year's racing. Came back in August in a race where she probably just needed that start. Went off 33-1, and she ran kind of fine. I mean, she's very much a one-run closer. She's not really a horse that's going to be out in the lead. She's kind of slow out of the gate. But really, her last race at Newmarket on October 7th, I thought was just incredibly impressive.
Yep.
She came from dead last and a distant dead last to just miss in a race where the speed horses that broke 1, 2, 3 finished 1, 3, 4. Like there wasn't a single change of position in the entire race except for Via Sistina. She was, visually impressive, motoring past horses. I'm really excited to bet her in this race. She might be a horse I try to build around. She needs to improve, but getting third off the layoff here, I'm kind of counting that she will. I think this distance hits right between the eyes, and she's one that I'm really interested in, since I do sort of think that the Nashuas and the Tuesdays of this field are a little bit vulnerable.
Yeah, I don't hate that at all, and you're definitely going to get paid for for sort of what she ends up going off at. And I guess this race, we talked about, we're going to talk about the Euros in this sequence. Who did you land on as your, say, your top 2 or top 3 overall choices in here? Because I think this is one of the years where there's a really good case that you make for a number of the North American horses that are in this race. And I said that very specifically. Who are your top 3 when you look at this race? I realize we'll probably cover that in a later stream, but
yeah, I won't beat it to death. Obviously, the horse I just talked about, Via Sistina, I'm quite high on. Nashua, I can't probably leave her out. Depending on the wager I'm putting together, will probably depend on if I use her or to what extent. But I would have a hard time not putting her in your top 3 likeliest winners anyway. And then I guess I'd probably waver a little bit, perhaps, between Above the Curve and an Italian. I'm not really convinced that I was on an Italian in the Diana, and I was handsomely rewarded that day. She came back and backed it up at Keeneland, the First Lady. I think she did catch a bit of a speed favoring strip at Keeneland last time out. And she's never really struck me as a horse that wants to go this far. And I know that she has a good win going 1 1/8. So maybe it's just like a preconceived notion I have. But I've always sort of thought she was more of like a miler for whatever reason. But she probably deserves to be in that top 3. And then Above the Curve would be the other one, who was only beaten ahead to Nashua last time out, has pretty much never missed a trifecta, has never really been beaten more than 2 lengths. And I think could be moving forward a little bit at a time when perhaps a horse like Tuesday is plateaued. So I would say probably some combination of those runners.
Yeah, I don't hate that at all. I think In Italian is my top choice, and I've already said that before. Any interest in Moira in here?
No.
See, I'm really interested in her. I'm extremely interested in her.
I have an extremely strong opinion of what I think of Rogier, and if you lose to Rogier, then I probably can't use you.
Okay, I respect that.
But yeah, Moira, I don't know what to do with that horse necessarily. I also tend to think a lot of these Woodbine horses struggle to take their game on the road. Like we've seen it with Cheryl Spite and a few others. So not for me, but you're probably going to get a mid-range price. So I don't hate you going there.
Yeah, and that was my sort of thing. I was sort of interested in her there, and again, I don't quite know. I sort of capped out, took notes. I really need to go and do 3 or 4 more passes through this race. And you are right; this is an extremely interesting betting race, because it always seems like this race specifically, we get that one monstrous Euro, and I realize that you're going to have Nashua is a probably your favorite, but I don't think Nashua is as big of a monster as some of the other horses we've had in this race the past few years.
I was confused where Warlike Goddess was, but they entered her into the
regular turf.
Huh?
Did they want her going further?
And
honestly, I think she kind of fits in the turf. So we'll get there in a minute if we keep going with this.
I was gonna say, didn't she win? No, she didn't win the Philly. Oh no, Love's Only You won. That's right.
Yeah.
Another horse I wanted to touch on briefly, I know we've been on this race for a while, but I think it's one of the better European races, is Mise en mise en scène, I think it is, the number 7. I don't think this horse is probably good enough to win. But
AE
like,
as well.
I'm sorry.
AE.
A
Is this horse an AE? Okay.
She needs
likely draws in with the likes of Dreamloper and a few others probably going to the mile, I would think. Hopefully it draws in anyway. I don't know if this horse could really win, but like I would encourage anyone to watch the replay of her last race, where she kind of looked. The comments don't do it justice. Even the time form comments don't do it justice.
Yeah.
She kind of blew the brake a little bit, ducked out, made the lead, looked absolutely dead to rights with about a furlong maybe to go. Probably dropped back maybe a length and a half, 2 lengths from the leaders, but then actually re-rallied up the fence and was about to win, if not for the wire. I feel like they finally got this horse at the right distance. I mean, I think she's actually better at these mile and 3/16, mile and a quarter distances as opposed to the mile that she's been campaigned at. And despite the fact she didn't have a great showing in the Breeders' Cup Juvenile last year, she did nevertheless, put in an honest enough effort, only got beat 4 lengths. So she can at least handle American racing and handle the turns and whatever else. So she's one that I don't think she can probably win, but she's probably going to be 40 or 50 to 1. And she's the horse I'd try to work underneath somewhere.
Yeah, I don't hate that at all. Yeah, and my thought was she was just a little bit too slow, but on the bottom end of a try or a super, yeah, makes tons of sense.
What did you have anything here at Delta that they're off already?
No, I didn't.
Are you done?
I was dead. Yeah.
Good. I mean, darn. I bet the 5 here. Thinking the 5 would get the lead, and the 5 is currently in the rear. So let's see if we can muster up one of those backdoor wins here again.
I was 1-3 here when I capped it, but
yeah, I like the 1 as well. I went 1-5.
But this 3 is setting a trip right now.
Rocket? Need a rocket? No, I don't think I'm getting the rocket. Yeah,
3 should kind of win here for fun.
Oh, that's enough of Delta Downs. All right, BC Mile. Anything here popping out to you guys?
How about it, Caleb?
Yeah. I gotta scroll down because we skipped.
This is where you like Dreamloper in this spot, right?
I do like Dreamloper in this spot. Another horse that I think they are finally getting back to the right distance. She doesn't want to go a mile and a quarter. She's just too far. I don't know that she really wants to go a mile and an eighth, although she's has a couple wins there. But I think she's a damn good miler. If you throw out those 2 races at a mile and a quarter, she'd be undefeated on the year on a 3-race win streak, and pretty much all of them, 2 of those 3 in pretty convincing fashion. I mean, she just dusted Order of Australia last out, who is nothing special, but you beat him by 5 lengths on his home turf. I mean, that's come towards something. This horse has early speed, is likely to race towards the front more often than not. Not on the lead always, although she did make the lead, 2 back. But she is a horse that likes to be forward anyway. So I think that I always like when I can see European horses be forwardly placed, because I tend to think they break slower. So having a horse that can kind of get out of the gate by European standards kind of means to me they can at least be mid-pack by American standards. So yeah, I think she really makes a lot of sense here. I love her getting back to this distance. She was, just going too far previously. And I think she makes a lot of sense to me in here. So I think she's a European that I'm extremely interested in this race. But there's 2 other Europeans that are going to take a lot of money that I'm sure Mark's going to use both. So why don't you take us away?
Yeah, I'll take you away with Josh. Plug your ears, bit of a trigger warning, but no, I love modern games in here. I think modern games just makes a ton of sense. Those last couple, horse been in really, really good form. It's 3 or 5 at the distance. I think this is kind of what he wants to be doing. Very talented. We know he can travel. Both times he's come to the United States, he's won pretty convincingly. And I think modern games here, for me, I think that the race sort of begins and ends at your take on modern games in this race. There's a couple of others I'm really interested in. Bayside Boy has been in really good form as of late. Has won his last 2. And looked pretty impressively. He got the best of modern games last out in the Queen Elizabeth Stakes, and ships over. So I think Bayside Boy, makes all the sense. In here, my only concern with him is that last race kind of came out of nowhere. I shouldn't say it came out of nowhere, but it was, at least figures wise, quite a big top for him. I'm a little worried that Bayside Boy might bounce in here. But if he doesn't bounce, he's going to be, a hell of a handful. And the other horse I'm really interested in is Kinross. Kinross has won 4 in a row. Frankie Dettori, I'm sure will stick on this one for Ralph Beckett. And, Kinross makes, a ton of sense. Any of his last 4 are fast enough in this, in this field to win. So I think Kinross is a really huge player in this race. Again, stretching out to a mile, which he's never done before, but we've seen some of these 7 furlong specialists be able to get a mile on across U.S. turf surfaces. It happened last year. So
I do want to correct you a little bit on Modern Games. Modern Games has technically never won a race in the U.S.
I guess technically the correct is the right kind of correct, but I know some people who are kind of fans of him.
Woodbine. Woodbine, unfortunately, is in Canada. So
51st state. That's close.
And I believe 'tis the bomb one.
Okay, let me rephrase. Modern Games has crossed the wire first both times he raced in North America.
Crossed the wire first, just like Maximum Security in the Derby.
Yeah, you had to go there, didn't you?
I did. It doesn't hurt as much anymore. I don't know why.
No, it doesn't.
Right now,
you stay it enough times, you just become immune to it.
I know. There's just I don't know. For some reason today, it's just I feel like I can say it, and it just doesn't hurt me. I'm Caleb. I'm guessing those are the 2 horses
or
that
you use the hundreds to wipe your tears away.
Yeah,
is that what you're doing?
Yeah. Or I just stuff them in my ears to plug.
Stuff them in your ears. Yeah. But there's a couple others that Caleb might want to talk about. Hopefully, I left him one that he likes.
Yeah, I do want to touch on the 2 that you mentioned first quickly. Modern Games. I thought he was going to be legitimately odds on in this race up until. Well, 2 things happened. Kinross decided to ship, and his last race in the Queen Elizabeth. He ran second, but to me, that's a negative race. I don't like the way he ran there. The pace was quite slow. Jadomi kind of went out there by himself and set the pace. Modern Games ran second. And there really wasn't any passing going on. Modern Games was life and death to get past Jadomi, who I don't think is really all that good, to be honest. And Bayside Boy ran enormous. Now, if Bayside Boy comes, I'll be very interested in him. Connections have strongly indicated they're not going to ship, so I don't expect to see him. But if he comes, then I'd be very interested. Now, as far as Modern Games goes, I don't like his last race, but you can make an argument that he doesn't care for the heavy going in the soft turf. His best races have typically come on ground that's a little firmer. He absolutely ran huge in both the Breeders' Cup last year and then the Woodbine Mile this year. Clearly, he takes to the American style of racing. So I don't love his last race, but I can probably find a way to forgive it. But he's a horse that obviously is going to take money. It will make my tickets, but probably isn't the stone cold lock that I may have previously thought that he was. Kinross, all I can say is I kind of get some Space Blues vibes off of him a little bit. A horse that is in really good form, that hasn't really been successful at a mile, that's coming over here for the mile. I'm not really sure if I love the fact they cut him from 7 to 6 and then go all the way up to 8. But nevertheless, he's in really, really good form right now, and he does make some sense in here for sure. I probably won't use both him and Modern Games on a ticket, so I'll probably have to find a way to pick one of those 2. I already talked about Dreamloper, I suppose. Let me see who else is in here that looked a little bit interesting. Bayside Boy probably doesn't ship. If he does, I think he's really interesting.
I was guessing you were a Saffron Beach fan, so I left him for you.
Not really.
No? Okay.
She's okay. I don't know what happened in her last race. I'm guessing she may have bled because Timeform seems to indicate she scoped dirty, and that race is almost too bad to be believable. So if you draw a line through that race, then she does sort of fit in here. She has an outstanding miler. But I tend to think that the other Europeans, specifically Kinross and Modern Games, are a little bit better. But there is a race in Saffron's, history, a couple races that would absolutely put her in the mix here. So I wouldn't discount her. It would very much be price dependent for me, I think.
Yeah, I've always had a soft spot for her. I didn't know if you did as well. So she's a cool filly.
She is very cool.
I'm on this 5 at Remy. So
yeah, I'm on the 3. I actually also played a pick 3, 3, 3, 2, 4, 5, 8. Did HRN like the 5? Is that why you're on it?
yes.
Oh man, if I can get this 3, I feel pretty good because I think Devamani looks really good next race.
Wait, Devamani? Like the Devamani?
Yeah.
Like a stakes or something?
I don't think so.
Like the ex Chad Brown horse?
I think so, right?
How the mighty have fallen.
I think I'm dead. Your 5 looks good though.
Yeah, I think the outside horse is gonna get this. Looks like
Your 5's game.
it's game, but I
Right.
think the 6 has got him.
No. Hasn't
Or-
been there yet. No, but I think they're knocking each other
Here
out.
comes the
two.
cavalry.
Oh,
Was
come
it
on,
2
3.
your horse? Oh, your 3's trying.
Ah! Damn. I thought I was home. Oh yeah, great. Gallop out like 5 lengths in front of everybody. Oh man. All right, that just so that just leaves the turf for us, huh? Unless was there anybody else you guys really want to talk about in that the mile?
That's all for me.
I actually think the Americans got a shot in that race.
With who?
Maybe you think. If you think Modern Games and I don't know, the horse I'd never heard of before until Caleb told me, Kinross, are that strong?
I heard of Kinross.
I don't know. I think that Ivar's rounding into form. Did run second in Modern Games here at Woodbine. But yeah, I don't know. I think that I don't know, man. It's gonna be it's gonna be tough. I think you're gonna need to make a stand there with one of the Euro horses because I think they're gonna be both super short. But
so I know we're past time, but I just have to ask: domestic spending, takeout reducer or sleeper?
Takeout reducer.
All right, that's fair.
and also preemptively.
Just getting it out there.
It's interesting though, right? Like, I mean, the horse hasn't shown up since the Mr. D Stakes, and all of a sudden, Chad sees fit to because he had to supplement the horse, right? Or they had to do something, or because like I thought you had to qualify for it, or do you think that Chad can just wave his hand and get into whatever race he wants?
No, there is a somewhat of a qualification process, but I don't know what the actual criteria is for it.
There's a winning you're in system, then there's like an earnings this year system, then there's like a committee that can decide so many spots as well.
But they don't have to pay
the
for it.
winning you're in gives you travel. So if he wanted to go and the horse has a lot of earnings, so I would imagine on a points sort of system they would get in.
I figured it was like this year, like it couldn't just be whenever, but that makes sense. Yeah, I completely forgot this horse was even still in training. I think everyone did.
He'll be on one of my tickets probably somewhere.
Yeah, somewhere that'll be a defensive B.
I mean, I'm not even. He might. I don't know if he's an A, but I he'll be on my tickets. But we can talk about that race next week.
If domestic channel spending is in here, where's Busy Channel? I mean, he's
you mean 2 Emmys?
Earnings. No, I mean Busy Channel two Emmys too. Sure, why not?
Bring them all, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Pony ride somewhere.
I know, yeah, we're a little over, but real quick, any in the turf, Mark, you're gonna bet Warlike Goddess because you bet with your heart, not with your head.
No, I think Rebels Romance is, Warlike Goddess does make some sense in here. I do like Warlike Goddess. The story would be amazing. I wonder if it's a little bit over her head, but no, my top pick is gonna be Rebels Romance, the Appleby shipper, who has been absolutely a freak. Won the last 4. This is the distance, and I think makes all the sense in the world here. So my top choice is going to go to Rebels Romance. Let's keep it short and sweet.
Yeah, my strongest stance is actually going to be against Rebels Romance. I think this horse is a terrible favorite.
Cool.
Took the coward's way through Europe this year by taking advantage of the German Group 1s, which are generally, I mean, come on, we all know what the German Group 1s are like. Has beaten literally nobody. I mean, San Marco, okay, he ran like third to Torquato Tasso and Pendicino, or whatever his name, Menticino, the other German horse. But like, yeah, I mean, I'm just not impressed with who he's beaten. And he kind of looks like a one-dimensional plodder to me. Like maybe he plods his way home with Appleby Magic, but as the favorite, this horse does nothing for me. I actually like the other Appleby horse, Nation's Pride. The improving horse, the horse that has upside, only 3 years old in here, gets a little bit of weight. Is proven on these American-style races. I like this horse quite a bit. And I do like Warlike Goddess in here a lot. I did a podcast with Chase, and I said I really think she has a huge chance. 1.5 miles is her ball game. I mean, that's exactly what she wants to do. She likes Keeneland. And she beat the boys last time out as easily as you could ever hope to see, despite a slow pace and whatever else. She probably should be undefeated this year. Had a brain dead ride by Rosario 2 back. So that was kind of a travesty. But yeah, Warlike Goddess and Nation's Pride for me. Me and Road Warrior, we're doing it together.
So, Mark, hold on.
I was going to say, is Lascano going to keep them out?
I don't know. I haven't heard anything.
Warlike Goddess? I thought Rosario rides Warlike Goddess.
Well, Lascano had it last time.
Not anymore. After that bullshit of a ride.
I do have to ask Road Warrior, since he is here, there was a real important question earlier. Is it required by New York state law that if you live in New York, you have to be a fan of the horse Kelso? And I'll let him answer that.
And Road Warrior, yes, I agree. Lascano should just keep them out because Rosario was I was there that day, top of the stretch, watched the stupidity, and I was absolutely shocked. So, Caleb, I got to ask, Mishriff, what do you do?
Oh, my God, this poor horse. I mean, there's a version of him there's a version of him that would win, but that version is probably about a year removed from where he needs to be. He had a really nice race 3 back against Baid. I mean, as far as a nice race can be when you lose by 6 lengths. But, I think my biggest gripes with him are that A, he's just really out of form. He hasn't won yet this year. And B, I really think he's a 1.25 mile horse. I don't think he wants 1.5 miles. All of his best races have come at that 1.25 mile kind of a distance. So that, coupled with the fact that he just looks off form, and I expect him to take money because he's one of like 4 European horses that the average bettor knows. I'm not going to have him anywhere.
It was funny because before you said that, Mark, I was going to ask what the fuck happened to Mishriff, because it's like one of the few horses that I
see.
So this is the Josh quotient. We're going, if Josh knows the name of the European horse, it's a fade. Okay.
And just so you guys know, apparently Nation's Pride and Rebels Romance are fighting for favoritism overseas right now.
Yeah, that's no shock at all. That makes perfect sense. I'm going the opposite way Caleb is, and cool. We're probably on the top 2 choices. And Mishriff, I think it needs to be on a ticket. Well, it depends on what type of ticket. I would hate to have Mishriff win ticket? And what? No, I would hate
losing ticket.
Yeah, okay. I would hate to have Mishriff win and boom me in a pick 5. But in something where I'm levering up, no, I'm not using Mishriff. So
isn't Mishriff a dirt horse? Wasn't Mishriff the one that won like the turf horse that won like the Saudi Cup or won one of those big races?
Won the Saudi Cup. Yeah.
2-3 years ago or whatever. Yeah.
Yeah, and then came back and won the Shima right after.
Caleb? What did you think about?
I think he's the winningest horse in history at this point.
What do you think about the 3-horse Stone Age?
The 13
horse. 13 horse. Why am I saying 3 horse?
Yeah, Yeah, so I don't really like him in here. He had a troubled trip a little bit in the Belmont Derby, but him and Nation's Pride both had a troubled trip, and I thought Nation's Pride's trip was worse. That's sort of how the betting shook out in the Saratoga Derby, and I think not really any excuse there for Nation's or for Stone Age. He just wasn't good enough. Um, Went back and actually ran okay, back at Leopardstown and Ascot. I mean, but he just seems like he's maybe a cut below. I mean, maybe he might win some nice races as a 4-year-old, but right now I don't think he's quite as good as some of the horses that are shipping over, or even some of the horses that may already be here.
Yeah, my issue with Stone Age is I don't think he wants to go this far, or at least at this point in his career. I don't know why they haven't stretched him out with that pedigree up until this point. It seems like there's a ton of races that he could have gone in, and if you look at his 1.5 mile races, I realized there's only the one that was the Epsom Derby, but he was just terrible on that. And then going a little farther in the Saratoga Derby Invitational, also seemed to kind of get a little leg weary late. So my gut is that maybe he'll take a step forward as a 4-year-old, but right now he doesn't want to go this far.
Yeah, this is I don't know. I think it's gonna be a fun race to talk about. I mean, we haven't even talked about Broom. Who's kind of
Does he count as a European horse?
No.
I mean, he does, right? But like, man, if you can't beat Mirror Mission and Gufo, then I don't know.
Broom is just not that good. I mean, A, he's over the hill, and B, he's just not that good. And maybe the 20 version of Broom was an interesting player in this race, but just I think we kind of know what he is at this point. He's just, he's that occasionally he'll step up and take a European Group 2 or Group 3, but at this level, he's just not that good.
I mean, he ran
Group
second
3
in
also.
the beer last year here in the States. Yeah, I know we're getting in the Wayback Machine. I know, dude. Up is down, left is right. The Road Warrior is not on Channel Maker. Like, yeah, I understand. It's weird. But yeah, no, we'll definitely dive in deeper on this on a Thursday next week. We will be doing an additional stream. Normally we've done Thursday, Friday, but with Caleb and I, and hopefully Mark traveling to Lexington, we're gonna do Wednesday night to preview Friday's card, and then Thursday night to preview Saturday's card. Yeah, maybe we'll do a recap show or something like early in the week. Maybe we'll save that for drink and champagne, and maybe see if you guys are able to hop on. But yeah, I think it's I'm really excited for some of these races. I think some of these races look real chalky. And no, I'm not talking about the Breeders' Cup Classic since I'm going to be against Flightline. But yeah, I think some of these turf races are wide open. It's going to be pick the right Euro in some of these. But yeah, and honestly, this year, I have no clue what to do on Friday. Like I don't know. It's gonna be interesting. I mean, maybe the what's the Cave Rock? Maybe Cave Rock is the real deal and is an easy single in the juvenile. But I don't know. I'm interested to see what you guys think when we get to talking about Friday's card. Friday's card is going to be yeah, it's going to be interesting. And then I just can't wait for one of us to get oh my God, we were just talking about this horse yesterday. Who's the horse? Dennis's Moment. One of us is gonna get Dennis's Moment on Friday. It's just who's
By
it gonna
Tyler's, what's his face?
What he's gonna be running
Tyler's
in
Tribe?
the turf sprint.
Are they going turf with him?
Yeah,
turf sprint for
it's the
Tyler's
fucking
Tribe.
dumbest thing I've ever seen.
That is an extremely dumb.
I mean,
thing.
it sucks though. Like, there's no dirt sprint for juveniles, so you either try to stretch them out around 2 turns or you try to put him on turf. So I understand the dilemma if they really think he has distance issues.
Yeah,
I mean, it is true. Like that. Like, I am surprised that they don't run a sprint for the 2-year-olds, right? Because it's all route races, right? Except for the turf sprint.
I'd need to look, but I think you're correct.
Yeah.
There's no juvie dirt sprint. That just seems that does seem a little.
It's interesting. I mean, I don't know. I don't know if they just assume everyone can go
over
Go ahead.
Do we know when draws are for these races?
I would
Post draw?
guess Monday, but I don't know.
It's
I feel like
either
off
Monday or
memory.
Tuesday.
Is it
Yeah.
Tuesday? Okay.
It's either Monday or
Okay.
Tuesday.
Yeah.
Oh, so much handicapping to do.
Yeah, I know, and I still got about 6 days and like an hour and a half to do it. So
you'll be
6 days
an hour and a half from now about, all right, let's see what's going on Brewers Cup.
wait, hour? You're gonna start capping at midnight Thursday evening?
I don't know. I'm gonna start capping at about.
So that's early for you.
I'm gonna
That's
start
like when he
capping
starts,
around
right?
7 p.m. on Wednesday. So
Oh, don't worry, Lloyd. We'll talk about Channel Maker.
Yeah, Lloyd, Channel Maker's age predates Josh's involvement in the sport of horse racing.
All I know is that if it
By
rains,
a lot.
If it rains,
like a couple years.
Channel Maker's making the ticket if it rains. I don't care.
You realize
I
it
don't
often
care.
does rain in Europe, like England specifically.
I don't care. Yeah,
Thing
Channel
that-
Maker. Dude, Channel Maker would have won the ARC like 20 times by now. Channel Maker would have bodied the fucking Torque Master Tasso or whatever.
Yeah, Torque Hitter who? I mean, enable what? Alpinista.
Yeah.
Oh, Josh.
But yeah, thank you guys for tuning in. I know we just want to do something different. Didn't want to talk about racing at Aqueduct or Keeneland. Figured we'd talk a little bit through the Breeders' Cup, kind of do a little prep. Basically, I could have a recording now, so that way next week I can pair it with these two knuckleheads say and make it look like I did my homework on these Euro horses. But we'll get a little closer. I'll look at some time form stuff and get up to speed. But I do lean heavily on these two guys when it comes to European stuff. That's not there are no E8s in Europe, so. I got to look elsewhere, but yeah. So Caleb, you already said that you're going to be probably playing a little bit of Belmont, but other than that, be pretty light. Mark, what you're trying to win a BC seat? And,
yeah, I got a couple more shots for BC, and then I will throw my hands up and realize that I'm just not worthy.
And I'm just going to try not to go broke by Breeders' Cup. So, I mean.
Which one of these is more likely? You going broke by Breeders' Cup or me having a BC seat?
We need odds on this. Caleb, which one do you think is more likely?
Can they both happen? I can see. Like, I'm gonna parlay.
Caleb's like, how do I parlay this? How do I parlay this? Oh man. That's so funny. But yeah, we'll be live, like I said, Wednesday night at our normal time, Thursday night at our normal time next week. Caleb and I will figure something out Thursday, hopefully. If we're outside on our phones or something, I don't know. Maybe Mark might need to drive, but we'll figure that out. And then we'll have an episode of Drank and Champagne up sometime early next week. Maybe do some quick reactions on the draw. Let me mispronounce more European horses' names. But check us out on ontherunlead.com. Like I said, if you haven't checked out Drank and Champagne, I did give out the Pick 6 ticket that I played and hit on. Was given out in there. Do not expect that to ever happen again. But do hit the like and subscribe button because it helps us out. We are on our way to 1,000 subscribers. So if you guys haven't already liked and subscribed, please do so. Next week, we're going to be doing some giveaways. So we'll be giving away some swag. Mark has already generously offered to donate some swag to some viewers. So we'll figure some stuff out. We got sweatshirts, we got T-shirts and stuff. And then we haven't figured out how we're going to do this yet. But and especially because I was really banking on doing the 2-day Pick 6, but that is not a thing. So I think basically what the plan is Mark, myself, and Caleb are going to toss in for a group ticket for the three of us, right? With our, we'll figure out structure. I'll leave the structure to Mark because Mark is the structure man, and Mark loves doing group tickets. But we're gonna get our heads together, get a group ticket going, right? Three of us are going to pay into it, so I'm guessing that it's probably going to be somewhere around like I don't know, between like 100, $150 ticket or whatever. We'll figure it out. And then we're gonna split it 4 ways. So if we hit, then it gets split 4 ways, and one lucky viewer. We'll do it on Wednesday. We'll give everyone a heads up. We'll do it on Wednesday, so people who actually tune into the bonus stream on Wednesday, we will give one lucky viewer the chance to get a share of this group ticket. So we'll figure out how we do the drawing. Maybe we'll just do random drawing of whoever's in chat or whatever. But yeah, just kind of a thank you for you guys for sticking around with us. We see the same names over and over and over again in chat. Love to see it. Thank you guys for the participation. And you know, we do it because we have fun and we just like bullshitting with you guys. So thanks again. And then yeah, we'll catch you guys next week. And Mark, people are asking, when's the group ticket happening?
What? I don't know what you're talking about.